All right, so I saw this video about the importance of giving false hope, and I thought it was actually a really cunning method to keep Johns coming back to the strip club, right? And I find it. This is what I think a lot of sociopath, anyone who's trying to fuck with you would do. They'll give you false hope. Yeah, if you come with us, we'll make sure that in 2 months we're hot. Like giving people a promise causes people to give you their willpower, their control, right? So let's see how they do it. I promise you, the way strippers do it, it's even worse.
Hello ladies, welcome back to my channel. So today's topic is going to be a really great one, and I'm actually kind of mad about not doing this sooner.
Mm-hmm.
So this video might take a little bit more time to kind of explain and go over, so bear with me here. I just want to make sure that I touch on all the points that I want to bring up, because I think this is the basis of really a lot of what we do and how we get guys to spend money at the club. So what we do and how we get this is the basis of really a lot of what we do and how we get guys to spend money at the club. So the topic at hand today is about false hope. Now, I'm sure a lot of us know that 90% of the time, or maybe even more than that, we do a lot of pretending, right? Okay. You know how I always talk about we act? Okay. Well, this false hope topic is really, really important because I think some girls miss a couple key points in how they do this and how to do it properly. Now, I know there's a couple different ways, it's not just like I'm saying I'm the only one that knows how to do this, but I think that some girls forget that you are acting. You are an actress here at work. You have to do a lot of lying, you have to do a lot of pretending, a lot of fantasy portrayal. Like I like to say, what works best. I don't believe in giving men actualities. I believe in giving them what they want to hear, which is usually fake.
Oh my God. So she rather make you feel like you're about to get it than getting it, because making you think you're gonna get it keeps you coming more. It's almost like a niche that you can't scratch. I find that to be insidious. Like that pimp guy says, that is evil as shit. Like that, because you see, that's how some shit could go wrong if you do this the wrong way.
So, false hope is when you basically you're kind of leading a guy on, but you're doing it in a way that's not giving them a yes or no answer.
Mm,
You're right in the middle.
ambiguous,
Okay.
ambiguous.
Now, some girls, maybe some people would say, well, hey, that's not really fair. Like, you know what? All is fair in love and war. All right. And they walked in this place knowing that they were going to be subjected to this potentially happening to them. And I don't feel bad and I have no sympathy. Point blank. This does not bother me. I can sleep at night. And like I said, they're coming in to see us. They signed up for whatever happens after that from walking in the door.
But you got to realize some women can't sleep at night, and I think that's a healthy response, because at the end of the day, it's like a gambler who has a gambling casino. He's like, I don't give a fuck about the customers. They know they came here to lose their money. Well, you only say that because you're fucking crazy. That's why. That's why you say that. Sorry, I'm not you, but just in general, right? Like you only say that because you really don't give a fuck about them. That's why you lack the empathy. Because at the end of the day, these guys are sex addicts. That's what it is. And people may not want to recognize that as something that's real and something that they're victims of it, but it is true. They're sex addicts and they can't stop. And you're feeding that. Yeah, it's all of their own doings. I get it, but you're still feeding that. You're still contributing to that type of environment.
Just my disclaimer. So, how I like to do this is if, you got, especially when you get guys that are really the delusional ones that come in there, they see you, they really like you, and they sit you down and they plead their case to you as to why you need to come home with them. Okay. And, you're
Oh no,
sitting there
not those
listening to
guys.
this, and, it's kind of rude because these
Yeah.
guys think that, a strange man is going to convince us that we need to go home with him and X, Y, and Z. Well, if they're delusional enough to think that, then we can be delusional enough to get money out of this situation, right? We need to get compensated for this you know, dealing with this kind of BS, right? So
Okay,
you
I
always want
agree.
to walk a fine line
I
though, because you
agree.
never want, like I said, to give them yes or no answers. You always want to remain in the gray area, because you know you don't want to get caught up with somebody claiming that you told them you were going to meet them and do whatever with them. You know, like you don't want to get yourself in trouble. And depending on the club rules that you work at, you know, you want to make sure that nobody can accuse you of doing anything, but you also want to be able to lead this guy on and get him to do what you need him to do. Like I said, if he's going to waste your time and sit there and try to beg and plead you to come home with him, then you need to get compensated for this. So sometimes what I like to do is I like to say a lot of things like I'll think about it, or I'd like to get to know you better, or you know, I can't leave because my club doesn't allow um, me to leave unless I pay a fine, or you know, something ambiguous like that. If you can get a guy to pay you to upfront to leave, then that's really the goal in this scenario. So false hope provides this to you and gives you the way to deal with these types of guys.
Well, this is literally like taking a woman out on a date. Baby, I want to go to a restaurant. I'll give you a poom poom. This is why, look, man, don't date strippers. Don't date strippers. They know too much. It's not that they know game. It's that they know too much dirty game. That's the problem. I don't mind a girl who knows a little bit of game. These types of know the dirty games, and I prefer you not to deal with these people.
Delusional ones. Now, when you're dealing with just regular guys, you always still want to be ambiguous as well. You never want to give like actualities. So that means nothing like, oh yeah, I would never, you know, do, I would never have a one night stand, or, you know, you don't want to give like extremes when it comes to like potentially, you know, them thinking, well, it sounds like she probably won't, you know, come home with me, or I'll probably never have a chance with her. You always want to give them that sense of like, there may be a possibility, but not quite sure. You always want to remain in that little gray area, that gray box, let's just say. So that would also mean like doing a lot of flirting with them, getting them to think that you really like them, right? Lots and lots of flirting, lots of compliments. So then they think like, oh, okay, like maybe she actually likes me, you know, maybe there is a chance, you know, pretending that, you know, you may or may not be interested in, you know, seeing them later. You know, like there's a whole long list of things, like seriously, like of like statements I could go through that you could say, but literally if you just think about what would lead somebody on and just sit there and just think about it, like what do guys like to hear? Okay, they like to hear anything that was related, you know, sexy talk, anything that's related to like taking you to bed, you know, any of those things. Because remember, when guys come in here, they're looking for that fantasy, right? They're not looking to hear about all that stuff about your day and what you know, what was on your to-do list and all that stuff. Like I keep saying in so many videos, like this is what gets guys back spending money, right?
Sex.
Yes, does some of that.
That is true. The more turned on the man is, the more likelihood he is to spend money, but also the more attracted the woman acts towards him, the more he'll spend money on her. So that's a fact.
Other stuff work? Of course it does. But in my personal opinion, remaining in this gray box of, you know, kind of, sort of, and
Yeah, it's yeah. I know. Yeah. I remember one time this girl said, I was like, "Yo, you want to hang out?" She was like, "What was it?" So no, she said, uh, "See," like a yes and a no. It was the weirdest one. I think it was like a. Let me see. See, no, snow, no, soap. Yeah, something like that. Soap. So I don't fucking know. I'm like, bitch, that's ambiguous. What the fuck is your problem? The problem is that when you don't have much experience, you're afraid to push it for clarity, right? You're afraid to push her to be more clear about what she's saying, you know? So clearly this attracts a certain kind of guy. And I always say this not as a condescending way, but this attracts low self-esteem guys who are not willing to call you out on your ambiguous statements, and they just go with it, right? And they just want validation. They just want female validation. That's all they're looking for. Yeah, dude, it's kind of crazy. It's like she knows what they want, and she doesn't give them more than what they more or less, you're gonna get what you want. You're gonna get that fantasy. You just might get scammed in the process, right? Anyways, man, let me know what you guys think about this. Check out our Patreon, ladies and gentlemen, and support the channel there. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.